You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Catholic Chicago. I'm Vince Gerasole from the communications team here at the Archdiocese of Chicago. And we want to thank each and every one of you for joining us on our YouTube stream this morning, as well as on 750 WNDZ. It is our first broadcast of the new year. So we hope your new year is off to a good start already. Ours is just seeing everyone's faces reunited here in the communications team this morning. And it's also off to kind of a chilly start. We've had in the Chicago area kind of sort of a mild winter, but wow, we're feeling the wrath of cold is coming in this week. We're going to get down to, I think one night we're dipping down to 2 degrees. I think that's on Friday. We might only have a high of 15 degrees, but we are here hopefully to warm your hearts and help you welcome in the new year. We take time every few weeks to talk about the latest edition of Chicago Catholic, and to help us do that today and each and every other Tuesday is the editor of Chicago Catholic, Joyce Duriga. Good morning, Joyce. How are you?
Well, Vince, thanks. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. You know, we're going to be talking about the year in review, which is a big part of your latest issue. But I want to do just the holidays in review. Did you have a nice holiday? Were you able to celebrate with friends and family?
It was quiet, but, you know, it's relaxing. So thank you. I heard you said your kids came in from out of town.
That's right. You know, we're empty nesters now, and I just can't stand it. I'll be truthful with you. But it was great to have them around, and everybody partakes in, foods that mean something for their holidays. So in my house, it's lasagna, and then this Italian sweetbread called panettone. How about at your house? Do you have any special foods or?
No, we just kind of do the traditional, we did a ham on New Year's New Year's Day. And then we went to some friends I live with my sister, so we went to some friends on Christmas Eve. So yes. We just binged movies on Christmas Day.
Well, if it weren't for and sometimes people forget that people on our staff, people like yourself, work over the holidays, and they help us keep connected with the activities throughout the Archdiocese that are going on. It really one of the busiest times of the year for us at the Archdiocese at Christmas. And we thank you, Joyce, for all the work you do. We're going to take a look back at the year that was, even though it's now 2022. So as a journalist, as you sit back and you evaluate 2021, was it a more eventful year than most? Or, is COVID kind of sort of woven just about in and out of everything that we're doing?
I was looking back at the coverage from last year, and I feel like we've been in this COVID thing not everybody does. We've been in it for so long. And just looking back and realizing, COVID's everywhere, right? We started off with the vaccinations and then getting the word out to the Catholic community about vaccinations, and then getting teachers vaccinated, and then going through all the different steps of, how to celebrate Holy Week again with COVID and
precautions in place. There were all these highs and lows. There were these moments when we were saying, wow, this might be a breakthrough moment. We've got vaccinations. It was about a year ago that Pope Francis and retired Pope Benedict were both getting their vaccines and encouraging the rest of us to do so for the good of everyone. And then there was this momentum building that we might be able to get back. I think it was over the summer we were able to encourage everyone to come back to Mass. And then now we're really, sort of, some of us don't know which way to look sometimes when we hear the headlines about Omicron. And that really has impacted so many ways we celebrate our faith, and also many of the ways that we reach out to the communities that we serve.
And the exciting thing was when things started to open back up, right? Because the year before we were covering everything that was shut down. And so this year, the high school started back with in-person graduations. They would do them outside, or colleges did it that way. And just so that got exciting, to be sure. And the thing that's been for me throughout this whole pandemic is how clever and creative some of our parishes and schools and Catholic ministries have been to respond and to keep going during the pandemic, right? We have a couple parishes who've done the car masses, and some of them are starting them back up again because of the spike in
the Omicron concerns. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we know of a DRE who, when things shut down, she went and visited every one of her students, director of religious education, and delivered their packets and made sure, just checked on them, let them know that the family, that the parish was still there for them, and some parishes got creative with outdoor ways of the cross, like during COVID, there were, and they would some of them could had them where you did them on your own, and just watching the community go together. So that was kind of a high point, I think, for us, seeing all that during COVID.
There was in spite of the frustrations for most people, there was an energy, a sort of, how can we get this done? What can we do? I'm just going to take you back to a second. You were talking about graduation. And so people couldn't get together in the traditional ways at our high schools, the way they typically did, and in our elementary schools for graduation. And so the schools found innovative ways that they could get together with their family communities and mark these milestones.
Yeah, and even some of our high schools, picking up your cap and gown is a big deal. So they made these processions where the kids had certain times where they could come and get their cap and gown, and sort of a drive-by procession, and the cars would be decorated. And same thing with the 8th grade students who are graduating. There'd be these car processions and things like that. So yeah, it's real fun to see. People are still trying to get out and be with each other because we need it.
One of the stories that went beyond your pages and stretched nationally was how well our Catholic schools did here in the city of Chicago with their test scores, even though they were challenged by COVID-19.
Yeah, and I really think that has to do a lot with, we should be really proud of it, and how well our teachers mobilized, and how much support I think the Office for Catholic Schools gave the schools too. So, hats off to them. They did a great job, and not to mention we stayed open the whole time. It wasn't like other schools who were in remote learning for a full year.
That's right, and we're not going to pretend it was easy, and we're not going to pretend there weren't any speed bumps, because there were. But there were some goals that were set in place, and cities throughout the nation were looking at how our Catholic schools were getting students back in the classroom, keeping them in the classroom, keeping staff safe. And really, there's this whole mental component about, you need to be in school to nurture your mind, but you also have to be in school to stay healthy as well, not just to stay emotionally healthy. And our schools have been doing their best to keep families in the zone, making sure they're studying, but also that there's this joy of learning, and that's one thing that, as we look back on 2021, that so many of our schools have been proud of. Not that, like I said, Joyce, not that there haven't been other challenges. I think there's so much conversation in the world today about global warming, climate change. We even talked about it at the top of this program, too, that we were seeing, December was a pretty mild month. And we're seeing, as we speak, there are problems with fires in Colorado. We're seeing storms hit parts of the country, winter storms that don't usually get it. And I'm circling back here to Pope Francis's message of Laudato Si, a way to honor the earth. And that really it isn't just something that the church focused on for a month. It is an ongoing effort to convince people and to alert the world that we need to take care of our home, the earth.
Right. And, one of the things the Archdiocese started with Laudato Si was encouraging parishes and schools and such to put together these Laudato Si gardens with like native plants and maybe some vegetables and things like that. A lot of parishes did have stuff. We've got several parishes that have gardens where they raise the food, grow the food to donate to the food pantry, or if they don't have a food pantry, a local food pantry. But the Archdiocese put in place sort of a prayer service and then they get a plaque so that it becomes like an official garden. And some have taken it in different roads. Like one parish invited some folks from the Field Museum who know about the native plants and stuff to help them figure out which plants that are native and which ones that'll grow well, and maybe invite birds and the butterflies, the monarch butterflies. But then at the end of the year, I'm not quite sure yet how this is going to play out because I haven't been on the platform, but the Vatican launched this action platform in November, which is global, and it's for parishes, dioceses, schools, universities, hospitals, or whatever. And so religious communities or schools and universities will sign on to the platform, and it gives them some resources on how to commit to more of this stuff, caring for creation. But there's also there's a local connection because there was a person at Loyola, a professor at Loyola University, who helped put together a international framework for universities that they can use. So Chicago is always in the mix on all this stuff.
That's right. I think if I remember from one of your articles, I think we're one of only 9 dioceses in the world who are sort of like on the foundation page for all of this. And it's
so that's neat. Yeah.
And and you can't just dismiss it like, oh, there's a garden at the church and that's really going to save the world. But I mean, that's really how the seeds are planted, isn't it? That's how awareness is born and nurtured, and how just planting a small garden like that with native plants that might attract, like you said, the monarch butterfly. That's a way of tending to the earth, and that's really what Laudato Si is all about.
I agree. And, and it's a nice way for evangelization, right? People want to be outside and the gardens are pretty. And so it's a different way to evangelize too.
So there are different facets to all of that as well. We are going to take a break right now, but we're going to come right back and talk more about the year in review, even though it's Joyce, I was saying it's 1/4/22. Those numbers mean absolutely nothing, 2/2/22 might be a fun day, but 1/4/22 is a good day because we're talking with you. Everyone, please stay with us. We'll be back in just a bit, taking a look back at 2021 as we take a look at the headlines from Chicago Catholic.
At Catholic Charities, we fight hunger in Chicago throughout the year. Our 6 regional offices in Cook and Lake counties work together to offer sit-down and to-go meals to anyone in need. We deliver meals to those who are homebound, and our 8 food pantries offer 3 to 4 days of food supplies based on household size. Participants in these programs have the opportunity to learn about other Catholic charity services that strengthen individuals, families, and their communities. The challenges for those dealing with food insecurity are especially great during the winter months. To learn how you can help those who are hungry in your neighborhood, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 312-655-7525. That's 312-655-7525. 655-7525. Thank you for your generosity.
We are at the Most Blessed Trinity Parish Food Pantry in Waukegan.
And here we care for people in need. There was definitely an uptick in the needs for services.
We doubled our volume after COVID hit, from servicing about 250 families a week to about 500 a week. We supplied bread, tortillas, vegetables, milk, cheese, butter, proteins, fish, chicken, eggs.
Well, the annual Catholic Appeal has been a tremendous help to us, especially over the past year and a half.
Without the annual Catholic Appeal, we might have to close our doors. Our parish is the largest one in the Archdiocese, but is very poor. We think about food and we think about nourishment, but we also nourish the soul, provide that connection to humanity.
The good works here are made possible through the annual Catholic Appeal. Make your gift at annualcatholicappeal.com.
Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, Catholic Charities has continued to respond to the needs of people who come to us for assistance. More than 850,000 meals and food parcels have been offered to those who are struggling with food insecurity. Over 108,000 homelessness prevention hotline calls have been answered. Over 22,000 people have received mental health services, and $2 million in financial assistance has been provided to keep people housed. If you or someone you know needs assistance, email us at gethelp@catholiccharities.net. That's gethelp@catholiccharities.net. Or call 312-655-7700. That's 312-655-7700. Before, during, and after COVID-19, Catholic Charities is here for you.
Welcome back, everybody, to Chicago Catholic Beyond the Headlines. We are taking a look back at the year that was 2021. But before we do that, can we get a shot inside the studio? Because I want to give a shout out to the folks who've been working so hard in the control room is what I really meant. I want to give a shout out to the folks. There's Javier waving hello there. There's Mike over at the main control board. Kind of looks like Starship Enterprise to me, but I'm a Star Trek fan anyway. But I really want to give a shout out to them. And Brian's not here in the office today, but they really worked so hard to get so much of our programming on the air, to pivot during the COVID period, because so much we couldn't come together in person, and we've now had to come together virtually. We've created new programs. The stream you're seeing right now is a result of adapting to COVID, and it wouldn't have been possible without the good works of these folks, and they work really hard. And the title of this program is Beyond the Headlines because we're talking about Chicago Catholic newspaper editor Joyce Duriga is joining us today. And Joyce, your folks have been busy as well as we take a look back at 2021. You have been, at a time when most people were staying home and isolating, you were helping bringing the stories of the Archdiocese of Chicago to the greater public. And everyone on staff, all of our staffs have been working very hard. And, I don't mean to say a big round of applause to everybody, but I do mean to say a big round of applause to everyone. They've been doing a yeoman's work these past 18 months.
Yeah, thank you. Because I know when when things shut down, we went out.
Yeah.
So we were going to all, so that's nice to hear. So thank you. And I think, that's one of the special things I think about our ministry at the newspaper is because we were able to go out and so we were still able to tell the good stories that were going on, of people who were going out. So for example, I did a story early on about people who were volunteering. Like when things shut down, Catholics started going out saying, okay, where's the need? Who needs help? We knew a lot of people lost their jobs right away. So some of these pop-up food giveaways happened, and it was just super inspiring. And I think it was an honor to be able to share those stories when a lot of people weren't really getting into church and things like that.
And the need is it doubled and tripled and quadrupled in some of these pantries that weren't the pop-up pantries, but we had some already existing pantries, and then there was the need for these pop-up pantries and people throughout the Archdiocese. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah, so initially there was, and then all this aid came out, right? That from the government, but then what they're seeing now is in September all this pandemic aid expired. So the people on the margins, as we say, who maybe were getting more help in the summer and earlier this year, that weren't coming to the pantries are coming back or are coming to Catholic Charities and other places because they need those extra supports from the pandemic are now gone.
Because one support went away and our efforts are still there, and people are still working very hard. I also want to say it was an emotional day. I was working side by side with your staff one day when people were getting their vaccines for the first time, and that was just I don't know. For me, that was one of the most emotional days because you could see the worry wash away from some people's faces, even though there was another vaccine to come, and then you had to, had to make sure wait 2 weeks for it to kick in. But that was just, those were some rather emotional moments. I wanted to talk about St. Teresa Parish in Palatine because they dedicated the new Holy Face of Jesus Eucharistic Adoration Chapel, and that really was a special moment this year here in the Archdiocese.
Absolutely, it's beautiful. There's something that we know anecdotally is when parishes have Eucharistic adoration, like 24-hour Eucharistic adoration, they tend to grow and they tend to bear fruit just because there's so many of their members are spending more time with Jesus and stuff. But it's a beautiful chapel, and they raised, I think, about $100,000 to put it together, and Bishop Rob was there to one of our newer auxiliary bishops to dedicate the new chapel. So it's there 24 hours if anybody wants to go.
It's good that you can log on to Chicago Catholic because you can read back articles as well. And as we look back at 2021, Joyce, can you help explain, because a lot of folks who are not familiar with the synod process or with this, it's a 2-year sort of period of time where Catholics are encouraged to come together. And you can read more about it in Chicago Catholic, but it was initiated the process this past fall, I believe, correct?
Yeah. So the Vatican has always had these synods of bishops, right? Maybe not always, but in recent years, where bishops that represent the different continents and around the world come together on a certain topic. So there was one on I think the role of the lady. There's one on the Bible. There's been Pope Francis really likes them. So now he's called for one on synodality, which is a little bit hard to understand because it's sort of anyway, it's a little bit. I'm still trying to work it all out and try to figure out.
Well, you and me too. But the important thing is that it's going to conclude with a big synod of bishops in Rome in 2023, right.
This one is different too. They asked for more feedback from the people on the ground, so to speak. So there's a questionnaire you can go to archchicago.org and you can fill out it's about 2 questions. It essentially boils down to where do you see the Holy Spirit working in the world today and then working in your life, and then the bishops locally. So the archdiocese will gather these responses. The cardinal has asked his consultative bodies like the pastoral council, the presbyteral council, which is priests, the Hispanic council, to the men and women religious communities to really kind of spearhead the project. And then they'll pull together all those answers. They'll put together a report. That report will go to the national level, where the national level will assemble all the ones from around the United States, and then that'll go
send
to
it
the continental
on
level.
And then send it on to the Vatican.
And then send it. So it should be an interesting we'll see,
So these are the first steps. If you hear talk about it in your local parish, that's what it's all about. There are these milestone moments to mark in any community. And this year up at Mundelein, it was the 100th anniversary up at Mundelein this year. That was a big celebration. We even had Cardinal Wilton Gregory come in and speak at the celebration.
Right. I didn't realize some people don't know we have a seminary. and it's a big seminary, and it educates people from seminarians from all over the country. But yeah, 100 years, it's beautiful. It's up obviously in Mundelein. The town was Cardinal Mundelein established it. And then there's actually a university up there now, and then the town took the name after Cardinal Mundelein. The town grew up around the area. They're celebrating all year long, so we've been covering several things that have been going on. They're doing Eucharistic Holy Hours to pray for vocations for the priesthood. They're having Bishop Barron come out to headline a dinner. They're having a big culmination celebration out there where people can come and be outdoors, and there'll be a mass next year. So it's a really neat piece of history for the Archdiocese, and it is exciting. And we have two other anniversaries. So this year we celebrated the 25th anniversary of Cardinal Bernardine's death. So people arranged a night of reflection at the cathedral, looking on his legacy, and Cardinal Supich spoke, and some other people who knew him spoke.
It's a legacy that's still very much alive. I think sometimes things are kept alive when you read about them, but there were, people who had firsthand memories and were impacted by his ministry, and it's still kept alive. So that was just a wonderful moment there. We're coming up onto the end of the show, but I just wanted to ask you, Joyce, for folks who are watching the stream, listening to us on 750 AM WNDZ, how do you find your stories? And I'm sure it has something to do with people contacting you, but how do we find the stories that make their way into the pages of the newspaper?
It's a lot of different ways. I've been doing this for over 20 some years, and some of it's just instinctual. Sometimes people do send us stuff. Also, when we find stories, I know this doesn't make sense, but when we go to a parish, maybe we're talking to some people, and we'll learn about 4 or 5 other things going on, or maybe at the other local parish. We also, we all sign up for a lot of the newsletters, watch things on social media. And then also one of the big sources is people talk to our photographer, Karen Calloway. She's out a lot.
She is phenomenal. We need to have her on here because she's just phenomenal. She's connected to everything. But Joyce and Karen and the rest of the staff, they really keep us connected here in the Archdiocese of Chicago. And they're going to be busy working on the next edition coming up in 2 weeks. But today's edition is out there now. You can take a look back at the year that was 2021, all the topics we were talking about today, and a whole bunch of others. Joyce, thank you so much for
my pleasure.
Helping put this all together today. Say hi to everybody else on the team. And thank you so much for watching us on our YouTube stream and listening to us on 750 AM. We hope that you'll be able to turn it. Remember, every morning at 8 o'clock, we've got original Catholic programming coming to you from the Archdiocese of Chicago. I'm Vince Gerasole from the communications team. Thank you very much for joining us, and Happy New Year.